Good morning, and I want to share my screen. And we want to share this one over here. Okay, so are you able to see my number 2 getting started checklist overview? Fantastic. All right, good morning, folks. We are recording this session on using a checklist that Canvas has provided and a quick overview of the anatomy of Canvas. My name is Jody LaPlante, and Corinne Wyatt is here as well, and we're your instructional technology specialists. Of course, if you have any questions or anything to add, just unmute yourself or put it in the chat because we all have some great information that we can share together. And then once this recording is uploaded and I have the captions ready, that I'll add it to the instructional technology site, and then you can also share that out with your teams. So our goals, just to have some tips and reminders for getting started in case you haven't been using Canvas this year. So just to reorient ourselves, it's just gonna hopefully be like riding a bike. We'll look at those Canvas navigation and some settings, and then we'll share resources, and then of course Q&A at the end, but ask questions anytime. All right, so here is some things I thought I might want to be thinking of at this time, and feel free to share other things that might be helpful for you or your teams to be thinking of. But if you have a day's notice or 2 days notice that you're going to be returning to some temporary remote learning, what can you use from last year? So most likely used Canvas last year, right around this time. And so maybe you already have some assignments linked there that just maybe need to be refreshed. Think about what worked well last year, and that probably things that will be not need as much instruction or pre-teaching for your learners, but that they can just kind of ease into maybe in-person routines that you can make work well online. And then of course, you're always going to keep your learners' assets and motivations in mind, so that is as tricky as it might be for engagement and motivation right now. Use what you know, what your learners are really good at, as a way to support them in doing their work remote during this little period of time. And then we'll look at the beginning of the course checklist. Another thought I had was that you should be prepping your learners now, if at all possible, so that the first time they look at Canvas is not the first time since last year. So what can you do when they're with you right now and preparing them in the event that you go remote for a little bit? And then check, you are probably hearing this from your principals or your team leaders, but are there grade level or even school-wide templates? I think that was one of the big takeaways from last year, was if there can be a systematic way to have your Canvas courses structured. That way, families are not trying to figure out 8 different places to find their assignments and things like that. And always, if you can, build in some SEL time, whether that is with discussion board posts or a YouTube meditation video that you watch. Really, it is really okay to give you and your learners time to adjust to this transition and take care of your social and emotional health. So we're going to peek at the checklist, and when we are looking at it, just notice any tips or things that stand out to you that you're like, oh yes, definitely we'll need to remember that. Is there anything missing from it? So I don't think it's a complete checklist. I think there are some things that might be helpful for your specific schools. And then are there any needs that you have? And then that could be something that I can help you with. So we are going to jump over to the checklist here. This is from Canvas, and it prompt you to make a copy of it, I believe. So you can adjust this to make it work for your school. But one thing is to set up account notifications. And this is where, and we'll take a peek at where you do this, but if someone turns an assignment or you get an email in your inbox in Canvas, can that just go right to your regular email and have it forwarded there? Look at those customized course detail settings. So we'll review where settings are and be thinking about your learners and what is important for them to have access to, and then what should just not be in their visual. So it's just less distracting for them. And that is that simplified course navigation there. Having a home page, that landing page where everyone, when they log into Canvas, that's where they start, and what should be on that home page. So what will be helpful for your learners and families? What do you want to include? You'll want to double check on the people link and make sure that everyone in your class is showing up there. And then your students can't access the content unless you've published it. So we'll remember to click that checkbox so that it turns green and publish the course, and then publish any pages or modules that you want them to be able to see when you want them to see it. And the last reminder here is to always push that student view button so that you can see what it will actually look like on the user end. There is a new little feature that actually they're highlighting this month, and that is the there's a validate links button that'll show, and then there's also the accessibility checker. So we'll want to check those things. So these were essential. This is what Canvas thinks is essential for starting your course, but there's also some best practices here. If you're gonna, probably these are not things you're necessarily going to focus on for a short period of time, probably not setting up grades, but you will manage files. So, and we have a session coming up on uploading files and embedding files. If you're doing assignment groups, but some of these things might be for a longer term, but good just to check through them and check with your teams to see if you're keeping those the same across sections, across grade levels in your building. So anything pop up to you? Anything stand out that you're like, that's super important? Or maybe for temporary remote learning, we were not going to focus so much on that since it's a short time period. Anything missing? I'm seeing some heads saying no. So share this with your team, and it is customizable. So if there's a specific thing that your district wants to make sure is included, maybe every home page has these 4 items on it, you could add that to the checklist. All right. Now we are going to take a peek at Canvas, and these are the areas that I want to point out as a quick refresher. So I'm going to pull this over here so I can see it. So when you log into Canvas, it drops you automatically in your dashboard. Your dashboard will show any of the courses that you have published and all of your unpublished courses. And above that is your account. And this is where you can set up your notifications. And again, for a short time, for a short period, maybe this isn't something that you have to spend your time on, but you may want to set up notifications for getting an assignment turned in, or if you are going to schedule student appointments, you can turn those things on, some alerts. So check out those notifications, check with your teams to see if there is any notifications that you want to make sure are turned on or turned off. Notice that you can have it sent to your email there. There's some other, in the account, you can also work on your profile, some other settings. There's a QR code for mobile login if you're sharing that with your learners. So check all that out in the account setting right here. Then we're gonna look at, oh yes. So this happened to me. There was a course I was a part of and the term ended. And so then the little icon here was not there anymore. And I was wondering where the heck it was because I wanted to still have it shown. So if you go to courses, published courses, it'll list all of your published courses in a list, your unpublished courses. But if there's a course from last year or 2 years ago and you don't see it in your main dashboard setting, you can click all courses and it's going to show you every course that that you have been a part of, either as the teacher, the designer, as a student, and it'll show some past enrollments down here. You can, if you don't want them showing in that main dashboard, then you just hit that star and it will remove it from the courses menu. You can browse more courses and you could also add a course if you were from this section. Something new also that came up that was a new feature is the help button. So there's always a help button here and you could chat with support, but now it is letting you know if there is a change, an update, a new feature, it will tell you with this little number, it's telling us there are 2 new things. Actually, it looks like there's more, but since the last time I looked, 2 new things, here they are. So the release notes. So instead of having to go to Canvas and structure site and try to navigate their site looking for updates, you will always get a notification here, and then you can click into it and get more information. And so this is a helpful spot if you're wondering if something is different from last year. If you scroll through on the help button for those release notes, then you will probably be able to find that update. They also have a new section for COVID-19 Canvas resources. And so that will take you over to the instructor site and you can get some additional supports there. So that was that help button right here. And once I've read those new release notes, then that number 2 will go away. All right, now we're going to pop into a course. And I wanted to review settings. So way down here at the left-hand side of the blue toolbar, takes you into settings. If you have time for the sparkles, you can add images and things like that. But for short term, you're probably just gonna go keep everything at the default settings. But then this navigation button right here, this tab right here, this is to help with the visual field of your learners. So what do you want your learners to see when they log in? Do they need to see all of these things? And so I'm realizing for this course, item banks, my learners do not need to see item banks when they log in. They don't need to see, well, they might need to see attendance. I'll put that one back up. We're not going to use Nearpod during this short term. They won't need a separate rubrics. And so now when my learners log in, they'll only see these options on their sidebar, and it just really cleans things up. You'll always want to scroll and make sure you hit the save button, because if you click away, it doesn't save. And the save buttons seem to always be down at the bottom of the page still, so maybe that will be something that they work on and have save at the top and the bottom. So I am in my course, I was in settings, and I was in that navigation is where I found that. Notice this course status is telling me I do have this published. If you use apps for your class, this is where you'd make sure those were installed. So FET or things like that, you can search and add here. And those course details, again, course name, if you're having start and end dates, things like that. And this is updated course. You can also find that URL if you want to email that out to families as well, to just have an extra way for them to access the course if they're having a hard time logging in. All right, then, in settings, okay, so back in settings, sorry, this is where you validate links in content. So when you click on this button, it is going to look at every link that you have added to every page, every assignment, wherever you put a link, and it's going to make sure that it actually goes someplace. So it does take a moment or two for it to, depending on how much content you have in there, but then it will tell you this link is not working. It'll tell you right where it is, and you can go in and fix it. So that course link validator is really helpful because it that is a time saver if we're not hearing from students. That link did not work. All right, I'm going to click away just for time's purposes, but that was in settings. Oh, maybe settings, and over here on the left, or sorry, the right, validate links and content. Then I wanted to show you the accessibility. So I'm in a page, and also I am going to chuckle right now. Canvas did an update. This was not what the Canvas page looked like yesterday. So, so that's awesome. Go back to modules here. Threw me off a little bit. Well, so cute. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm just getting a little. I can see someone is looking at this. And let's look at a different one that actually has stuff on it. All right, so here is a page within a module. And if I'm editing it, here we go, this looks normal. Right down here is this little person in a circle, and this is the accessibility checker. So if I was typing something and it was not accessible, this is going to highlight, and there'll be a little notification here that says fix that. And when you click on it, it will say that the link was broken. It'll say maybe the contrast and the color didn't fit, and it will give you some tips. So that is that one area I wanted to point out, that accessibility checker, and just make sure you always notice it. But it does get bright and stands out if there is an issue within that page. And then it tells you how to fix it and why. So that is just on any page, and you're in the edit mode, and there's the accessibility checker right there. Okay. And we do have some sessions coming up about importing and exporting, but I did want to point that out in this navigation section, that if you have something from another course or a colleague shared an assignment or something with you, that you can import that. And you can just do that from any page, and it's on this right-hand side here, import and from Commons. So we have sessions coming up specifically on those, but I wanted to point those out here. All right, that was a quick review, quick tutorial there. Any questions or any parts that you are wanting to make sure I touch on here? Okay. Let me know. I'm going to click away for a moment. Nope, got to bring this back. All right, so now we're at the Q&A part. So wondering what's on your mind. Are there other things that we can support you with, resources that you're looking for, and ideas that you have to share with each other that's working well? I think I will stop recording. Stop share and then stop recording.